If you knew better, you do better, but you ain't doing better because you're here with us. It's the Deeper Than Rap podcast with myself, Kev Pua. Got Jay Santos with me. And of course, the glorious, the infamous, rant-raving Pastor Josh Olivero. And we're here to break down everything hip-hop. Hey, yo, Jay, hit me up. Hit me with something, brody.
Facts. You want to hear the greatest intro to a song?
Oh,
man?
please let me know.
I got you.
Okay.
I got you.
Little old school bad boy.
Big was bugging.
Was he? I don't remember the intro to this. Give it a little vibe so I can hear it. What was he saying?
Niggas. Bitches. It came with the crazy chorus.
Grab your dick if you love hip hop. Rub your titties if you love Big Pop.
That's what he said.
Ladies. Off the words I say because. Now, who smoke more blunts than a little bit? What are you, an idiot? Listen to the lyrics I spit like M1s. Got mad guns up in the cabin. Singing the one for the dipping and dabbing shit. I make it happen. You got your ass caught on your soul with fire. From the Honda Passport on the MP. What if you see? Then I miss you. I blow up spots like little sisters. Grind, grit your teeth. Grind, bite your nails. The clothes like Murray.
He got the stutter ass.
Junior Mafia. Like Luke dancers. Niggas grabbing gats. Bitches taking glass after the 2-1. Pulling over in the Land Rover. Playing Big Willie style with the chauffeur. You know what I mean? Stack the green, read all between the lines. A nigga act up, makes the back that hard to find. Niggas, rub your dicks if you love hip hop. Bitches, rub your dicks if you love Big Pop. Gotcha. Open up the work I say because.
You got something else for me, Jay? You seem a little trigger happy. You got something for me?
I ain't got nothing, man. I got nothing. We gonna take it old school, though. Okay.
All right, listen, man. Good looks for that. I didn't even know he was gonna come out to that. That's gangster right there. First and foremost, I want to thank any and everybody who watched our video, episode 1. Watched it, shared it, liked it, commented, sent me a DM about it. Everybody who just showed us love, man, showed us genuine love. I appreciate it.
We love the 4 of you that watched the video 600 times.
Facts. Nah, definitely. There was a lot of watch time in it.
How much watch time?
710 minutes to be exact, but I'm not counting.
That's a lot.
I'm not counting. But
That's a lot.
Absolutely. Considering the fact that it's like a 58-minute video,
yeah.
The fact that many people committed time to it, I'm more than thankful for.
We on to something?
I think so. I hope so. I think we have a good little thing going on here. But yeah, no, I'm just super thankful because like nobody has to watch us. I didn't like no disrespect to anybody that does this in promoting their craft, but I wasn't bombarding people's DMs. I wasn't begging anybody to watch with the exception of like posting on my story like, hey guys, link in bio, please watch if you care to. But you know what I'm saying? Aside from that, like I didn't really do like I didn't spam anybody to watch our stuff. And so like the people that like hit me up in my DMs, it was pretty genuine. And like for them to just be like there was even people when we put out the trailers that were like, yo, I gotta watch the full episode, and we just released 1-minute clips. And so like just for people to be excited to want to like hear a podcast, because even in our culture, like there's not many people that watch or listen to podcasts, much less something that's an hour long. So I'm just thankful, man. Like I'm just really thankful for the people that did watch, bro.
Thanks, man. I'm just ready for me to just quit my job, man. So please keep watching. Please.
No, right.
Listen, we need ads. We need.
He's super right. He's super right.
You weren't ready for that.
He's super right because, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're saying, like, you want to quit your job. For me, that's the end goal. Like, the success for me of this podcast is being able to financially put everybody in a position to where, like, they ain't going to need to work a 9 to 5. We're going to grind it out with this. But the goal is to hopefully they'll be able to, you know what I'm saying, like, move on and move forward. But, yeah, man. Like Josh, you felt any way? Like, did you get anybody to hit your DMs? Because I know you posted some of our clips. Did anybody hit you up or anything like that and just comment on the stuff we did?
Yeah, you put out a clip,
right,
where it said where you had me talking about the Kanye Sunday service, and I said Christianity's not the wave.
Right.
So people thought I said Christianity's not the way.
No way.
So they was in my inbox like, hey, Pastor Josh,
you done changed up.
You got one episode under your belt, and
now you think you can just change your ways?
Yeah, you think you can quit your job?
Maybe I should put captions on the videos next
you
time.
should definitely.
Yeah, no, I'm not doing that.
Add
It's
some
mad work.
subtitles.
Nah, I don't get paid enough. Shout out to the ads. We need them.
I'm gonna say I'm not gonna be in this Sunday.
No, but it's funny because he really did say that. Like, when I chopped up the clip, put it together, and then I played it for him, right? And he's just quiet. I'm like, dang, man, I guess it's a bad job. He was like, I might get fired.
I'm gonna get fired for this.
He's like, yo, I'm gonna lose my job for this, but I don't care. I was like, yo, good looks. But nah, man. So yeah, but he said like anything that I said it. So therefore, I'm gonna back it up. So like, I have to respect him for that. But yeah, man, nah, people definitely hit us up. They liked some of the like those are topics that I guess in the when we talk about like Christian circles or whatever, that has been a conversation, and nobody of our culture has like hit those topics. So like some people like were refreshed to hear, number one, a pastor to speak on it, but number two, people that look like them speak on it. Yeah. So they were excited about that.
Facts.
The Tekashi stuff, it was cool. Some people watched it, some people commented on it, but like,
straight away.
yo, fam, what?
Yo, for real. This guy
Yo,
out here bugging, dog.
he really want to lose his job every week. Like,
It's
he must
Treyway.
have a new reason to lose his job every
Treyway.
week.
I got a rant for that, but that's for later on.
Yeah, I got you,
Let's
man.
get into the flow of things.
So I had said earlier about, my dream of this podcast being successful is being able for you guys to like find a way to quit 9 to 5s.
Please.
And just like, we can be able to live and sustain our lives off of this.
Yeah.
And with that being said, it's funny because that really has been my thing. And recently a clip went viral from Joe Budden from an episode that was like 2 or 3 weeks old.
Yep.
And it just currently went viral. And it has an interesting message in it that I think people should really pay attention to, but people took it a little sour. Jay, you mind playing the clip real quick?
I got you.
Believe that any of you are serious until that occurs.
That's fair. Yeah.
Facts.
Sorry.
Got to take that jump.
Gotta take a jump.
So he's saying that people should take that jump.
Don't try to steal second base and keep your foot on first.
Look at you, Cody.
Go to your
Cody
job. Tell them niggas, yo, got something on the side that I have some faith in, and walk away.
Yeah.
And then weather the storm.
Yeah.
That's the important part. Hey, creatives, it ain't about how much money you make, how much debt you're in. It's really all about, can you weather this storm? That old corny saying, the light at the end of the tunnel, let's not make that applicable here, but it is. If you can get through being broke for the next 9, I don't believe.
All right. So because you know me, I'm gonna go off on this.
Yeah.
Do you guys like have anything to say? And by the way, if you guys like didn't have any context to that, he said that in context. No, my bad. In context of he says you have to quit your job to be successful.
It all depends on like what you're trying to do. That's the thing. It all depends on the career, like, and on the support system you have. So say you're trying to be a rapper, right? You're like, okay, so you can write lyrics all day long, but if you don't have the support system, it's no use of you quitting your job or, losing your safety net off of just stuff you're writing in your bedroom without any intention of taking your paycheck and going to the studio, and you have someone or a team behind you that's supporting you, trying to get you a show, trying to get you things that you can do. If you have the support around you, then I would say, okay, cool, quit your job and go move forward with it. But if you don't, and you just like, oh, I write 100 bars in my room, not songs, just 100 bars.
Right.
Then it's just like, all right, man, you're doing it for nothing. Like, you have no end goal, so it's nothing going to happen for you. And Ari from Dreamville. Okay. And it's weird that we bring this up. Yeah, and it's weird that we bring this up because I saw an article on Twitter, and she said that she was, I don't know if she got signed or she was about to get signed. But she was scared to quit her job.
Yeah.
So like
After
that
she
was.
got signed?
No, this was like,
On the verge.
yeah, like on the
Oh,
verge
okay,
of getting
okay,
signed,
okay.
and she was scared to quit her job.
Yeah.
So like at first when I saw it, I was like, it's like you're about to sign to Dreamville. Just
Yeah,
quit
yeah.
your job and go. Like you got who they behind, like Columbia or something like that, and you got this back behind you. Go do it. But like the more I think about it, and I try to put myself in it, I'm like, I don't know, but I don't know like if she had the support team around her. I mean, if Dreamville is looking at you, I'm sure you do.
Yeah.
So it was just weird that popped up, and we want to talk about this. But I don't know. It all depends on the support team for me on anything that you do. It's the support that you have behind you.
Yeah, that's a fact. That's a fact. And I think, like, not to cap Joe Budden, Maul didn't quit his job until they signed that deal with Spotify, if I'm not mistaken. I could have
Rory too, right?
Rory, one of them. Someone didn't leave their job until recently.
Rory.
And they've been
it was
doing
Roy.
the Joe Budden podcast for a couple years. So I think Joe Budden is right, but he's a little bit out of touch because he's Joe Budden. And he had that Joe Budden money.
Right.
So, like, Rory, I'll take your word for it, Rory holding on to his job was a sign that be careful because that light at the end of the tunnel might be a train or something. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't always know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, especially now in today's social media world, everyone wants to be an entrepreneur. And we've had this conversation offline. Like, maybe you're not the number one guy. Maybe you might be number 27 or something.
Right.
To quote Gary Vee, right? Like, maybe you're not the guy.
Absolutely.
To lead a podcast or your dream job or whatever. So it's important for you to, like, audit yourself. Like, make sure that you got what it takes. You have the gifts, the skill set necessary to go out there, quit your job, and roll the dice. You know what I mean? Not everybody's built or designed to quit their job and chase their dreams. You might be built to quit your job and help someone else accomplish their dreams.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, right now, I'm very much a sidekick.
You're more than a sidekick.
You're welcome, by the way.
You're more than a sidekick.
But you get what I'm saying. Like,
Gotcha.
sometimes
Facts.
people are
Pippin
just...
and Rodman over here.
Sometimes people are just... Their role is to support the number one guy. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, he's right to a certain extent. That's what I'll go as far as that. He's right to a certain extent. If you're Joe Budden, it's easy to go, quit your job. He didn't have a job to quit to start the Joe Budden podcast.
Yeah, that's
Complex.
He didn't need you know what I'm saying? Like, he was Joe Budden. Like, all right, so he got fired off Complex. He
didn't get fired.
He quit.
Okay.
But if he didn't quit, he would have got fired.
He wasn't under contract. There was no way you could fire him. They didn't want to pay him what he was worth.
Charlemagne prophesied, to use spiritual language, you're gonna mess this up.
He didn't mess it up.
He.
How did he mess it up when they didn't pay him what he was worth?
Because maybe he thought he was worth more than he's actually worth.
Was he? Spotify gave that bag up.
You don't think Joe Budden thought he's worth more than he's actually? So Hitmaker just had an interview on Breakfast Club,
right,
where he said Joe Budden is gonna do Love and Hip Hop again.
Yep.
And they was like, why would he do? And Hitmaker said, well, I don't know if this is true, but Joe Budden told me they're giving him $1 million per episode. And everyone was like, they're not giving him $1 million an episode. But that's in line with the person that is Joe Budden. Like, he thinks he's more, I don't want to say more than what he is, because he's great. I think he's great.
Bruh, 600K 2 times a week on YouTube videos that are 2 hours to 3 hours long is crazy.
Is he getting $1 million an episode on Love and Hip Hop?
I don't know. That's not my business.
Well, what I'm saying is he told Hitmaker that he's getting $1 million per episode, when most of the people on Love and Hip Hop are getting $1,500 per episode.
Fact.
That's crazy.
But we're getting off track here.
Right.
We're talking about quitting your job. Now, before I go off on a tangent, let me just speak in a mellow tone before people take me out of context.
So you're gonna yell at us again?
Not you.
like
Go
always.
ahead. Like always. That's the fact.
This is what happens when you don't give context to viral clips.
Okay.
We need to know context.
Okay.
We absolutely need to know context. So, did Joe Budden say this? He absolutely did say it. It's evident. He has video. He put it on his podcast.
Okay.
Now, I happen to be a fan of his podcast. Therefore, I listened to the episode following this one.
Okay.
Everybody said the same words you guys said. Oh, you just don't jump out there on a whim. How dare you tell people that Joe Budden, that's crazy. You're giving people bad advice, blase, blah, blase, blah, blase, blah. Mm-hmm. So he stated clearly he made the assumption that people were a little bit more intellectually there than he assumed, and then him and Rory and Maul began to break it down even more. And he said, obviously, yes, you don't just quit and then you don't know how you're gonna pay rent, and then you don't know how you're gonna do this. Obviously, you don't just do that.
Right.
You specifically verbatim what they said is, you as soon as you get a job, you should be preparing for your resignation day. So there's nothing wrong with having a job, paying your bills, paying your rent, paying your phone bill, all that. However, if you genuinely want to be a rapper, if you want to be an actor, if you want to be a musician, whatever, if you want to be a podcaster, if you want to be a director, anything that is relative to being creative, or even anything that's relevant to being an entrepreneur, creating your own business, whatever it is that you want to do. If you have aspirations that are bigger than you just working at a 9 to 5, at some point, you have to leave that 9 to 5. And so you should be prepping for that. And so that means you should be budgeting minimally, like you should live minimally, be budgeting, be preparing yourself to live 6 to 9 months without an income coming in for the next 6 to 9 months. That's what he said.
By the way, that should just be for everybody. Just some life advice.
That's
that should be for
general
everybody.
financial advice.
It's a fact.
But
for everybody.
he's saying that like you should live minimally instead of like putting yourself in debt and getting a car and trying to get the most. While you can do it, grind it out. You know what I'm saying? Live minimally, save, budget, and put yourself in positions to where it'll lead you to where you want to go. So like Parks made the example of like, yo, I ended up getting an internship at a studio, and so like I didn't have any money and I wasn't working as an engineer, but I ended up having the keys to the studio. So when nobody was there, I can go to the studio, I can engineer anybody. If I wanted to charge, I could, but I didn't.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He worked on his craft. Try to leverage certain things so that you can get to where you need to go. And for me, that clip is so like it's vital to people's mentality. Like you shouldn't just aim to work a 9 to 5 for the rest of your life. It's just a dead end. There's nothing there. And like we said, not everybody's built to be a number one.
That's important.
That's super important.
Because go ahead.
But how do you position yourself? It's important to self-assess and say, okay, where do I fit in an equation that's even bigger than this though? Because if your dream is just to work a 9 to 5 and eventually be a supervisor and a manager and all, and that's it. That's where you cap.
Yeah.
You have to like. All you're doing is living to pay bills to then die.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I have a bar where I say, fellas work their whole lives to be supervisors. If that's the goal, I'd rather risk it all for super profits.
That was Jay?
That's me.
Oh, my fault.
That's Big Kev.
That's Big
Let 'em know.
Padrino Kev.
Padrino Kev. Get it right.
But here's the hard reality about that. And I'm going to ask you 2 questions.
Go ahead.
When did the Spotify deal happen?
August or September 2018.
2018.
Right.
How old is the Joe Budden podcast?
Started 2015.
2015. That's 3 years.
Maul joined late 2016, early 2017.
That's 3 years of doing this
Yeah.
with a Joe Budden.
Right.
I like you, but you're not Joe Budden. We don't have a celebrity is what I'm saying.
No, absolutely.
So, are you willing, not you, I'm speaking in general, are you willing to do this for 3, 4, 5, 6 years, week in, week out, grinding, putting in time, putting in money, energy, efforts, with nothing on the horizon, hoping that something pops?
That's
If
the
you're
question
willing
you
to
gotta have.
do that with no job,
He didn't, but that's what he said. You have to. So he said you have to prepare for 6 to 9 months of no income coming in, and within that time
do you
frame,
see what I'm saying though? The Joe Budden podcast took 3 years with Joe Budden on the
Absolutely.
set.
Absolutely.
That's more than 6 to 9
but
months.
but let me. All right. So number one, he didn't do it consistently. From like 2015 to about early 2016, he was not doing it consistently.
Okay.
2016 is when they started getting consistent. 2016 is when the Drake clip went viral.
Okay.
2016 is when Maul started coming in.
Okay.
It started getting a little funnier. They started getting the ball rolling.
Okay.
2016 is when they started selling merch. They started doing live shows.
Okay.
So while they weren't at the top of the game in terms of podcasting, they were bringing in money and they were making roads in 2016.
Okay.
And that's when they started. That's when I said They started going head on straight first. So that was his point. His point is, if you commit to something, eventually, yeah, are you gonna have a job? Or are you gonna need a job? Yes. I'm not telling y'all ain't gonna need a job. It's obvious you're gonna need one.
Right.
You gotta pay your bills. We're adults here. You gotta pay your bills.
Right.
However, like he said, you can't steal second base and keep your foot on first. You can't.
True.
So when you're in that position, so how crazy would they be right now with a Spotify deal and Rory's over here still tied and bound and binded by Sony?
I agree.
So yes, they
At
secured
some point-
they secured the bag first, but you gotta go.
Yeah.
Because like even when they signed the Spotify deal, Joe Budden has said it. The Spotify deal didn't make them rich. They weren't all millionaires. They had better deals. This was just the one that was more beneficial for them creatively.
I agree 1,000% with what you're saying. My fear is that most people are enamored with the fact that
The luxuriousness, the thought.
we live in a microwave society where we expect everything to happen right now.
Yeah.
It takes work. Like I believe in what we're doing right now, but I also believe it's gonna take us
Even longer.
months, year
Even
or two
longer, absolutely.
of constantly doing this before it catches. And that's not because it's us. That's with most things. Most things take time.
Absolutely. Yeah, it takes time to gain an audience, but what he's saying again is you gotta grind it out. Like I think people would jump so quickly, so to quit your job, they didn't pay attention to like, yo, you gotta grind it
They
out.
quit their job and
Yeah, absolutely. Like everybody's like, yeah, like you said, I'm gonna be the rap star.
I quit.
Oh, I got 100 bars. I'm the best in my city.
yeah.
But you having a past in that industry, you know what it takes to get there. Facts. He was almost Rock La Familia. He was almost label made to True Life.
Wow.
I gotta
Rock
let him
La
know.
Familia.
No. But all jokes aside,
Stupid,
you
man.
having a history. You having a
The
history.
minor league rock.
The minor league. They
Rock
put him
minor.
in the G League.
The D League. All right, go. Yeah, you made a good point. Go ahead.
Right. You having a past in that industry.
Yeah.
You know what it takes to even get your song on the radio.
That's a fact.
You even do that. That's crazy. Like, and you got it. Oh, here's another part. My bad going off on this. Bro, scared money does not make any money. You have to put money into the things that you want to do. Everybody thinks that everybody's gonna give you a handout, everybody's gonna do you a favor. And if you ain't got the money to pay for stuff, then learn how to do it yourself. Learn how to do it yourself. You have to learn how to do it. Everything is capable, and everything is within a reasonable price these days. So get your job, get your money, save up, get your equipment, and get it cracking.
Yeah.
You have to grind it out some way. First of all, we're not even in 2003 anymore. You can't just go to a record label and rap for them.
Yeah.
We've heard the story of Russ. Homeboy
was
dropped
just about-
96 songs before he got one to pop.
Yeah, I was just about to bring him up because
Go ahead.
every time he talks about his come up, he always says, like, every day, well, not every day, but I was dropping stuff daily. And not just songs, I was dropping mixtapes. And I had to learn how to mix them. I had to learn how to make my own beats. I had to do everything on my own. So when I finally popped, it's like, it's easy. It's just like, when you learn how to do everything on your own, you save so much money when dealing with labels.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's certain things like that. When someone successful is telling you that, and for some reason people don't want to listen to him, I don't know. But when someone successful is telling you that, you got to listen.
Absolutely.
And like you said, you got to put the work in. Like, I'm sure he was, it's like, I'm sure he had a job. Like, I'm sure he was doing on things
At
to
some
making
point, I'm sure,
money.
yes.
Yeah. But when it's time, like, to start making money off your shows and everything, like, he can be like, all right, I'm good. Like, I don't got to work this job no more, man. I just made X amount of money off this show. All right, man, it's speed ahead.
Got you, man. But yeah, man, grind it out. Learn how to. If you can't afford to pay for stuff, learn how to do it on your own. Now, like these videos that you finna see. Let's just say I got the program somehow, some way to edit these videos. We're using GarageBand to record the audio. If you have a Mac, GarageBand already comes into it. All you got to do is take the time, learn how to mix. You want to know the most beautiful part of it all?
Go.
You can learn how to do all of it on YouTube.
That's how you learn?
Yes. Everything that I know, I learned off YouTube. Hours on YouTube, but I learned off YouTube.
Dope. Super dope.
But yo, on the topic of Joe Budden, right? One of his podcast buddies, or another hip hop podcast, was in hot water.
Uh-oh.
Josh, you seem to be well versed in this topic. This is your boy. Y'all Queens natives. Y'all Queens natives.
About to go.
Let us know what happened. Let us know
I'm
what
about
happened,
to
man.
go. All right, so if y'all paying attention like that, Nori just got verbally attacked, harassed,
Assassinated?
assassinated
Is that the right word to use?
by what?
Assaulted.
by Star Brim. Star Brim is a affiliate of Cardi B. Just came out of the feds for credit card scheming or something. I don't know. But what happened was, so here's what happened in short. A long time ago, Taxstone on his podcast had Nori on his podcast, and it was dope. Which was actually, it was off Taxstone's podcast where Jay-Z and Fat Joe, Terror Squad, right? They squashed their beef because at the end of hold on. Cause I'm gonna use your platform to get my TS chain. That's
I
what
don't
I'm
even
trying
want
to
to
do.
talk about
That's
the
what I'm
rucker.
trying to do.
Gonna give you Puerto Rican history.
That's what I'm trying to do. At the end of the Taxstone podcast with Nori, Taxstone, because he's slick, he was like, yo, what happened with the Fat Joe and Jay-Z beef? Did he really? And Nori was like, yeah, I heard Jay-Z got chased around like the table. And then afterwards, Jay heard the podcast and he called Nori, and then he was like, nah, that wasn't it, bro. And so through that, he contacted Memphis Bleak and all that. So anyway, but then Star Brim says that it was during that interaction that Nori was asking Taxstone about, yo, how do you get onto podcasting? And supposedly Taxstone put him on, which I have a hard time believing because Nori's Nori. His reach is long. I doubt he needed Taxstone to get put on to the whole podcast joint, right? Anyway, fast forward years later, Taxstone and Troy Ave get into a beef. Taxstone was highly critical of Troy Ave's music, and then they ran into each other at Irving Plaza at an event where T.I. and them boys were performing or whatever. Allegedly, right? Because I don't want Star Brim coming after me, right? Allegedly, Taxstone popped off on Troy Ave. Some things went off. Troy Ave got a hold of the things that went off. Allegedly. And then allegedly retaliated. It got messy. Taxstone is in jail for attempt murder. Troy Ave is facing charges for actual murder. I got that backwards. My fault. Taxstone is in jail for murder. Troy Ave for attempt murder. Okay. About a year later, Taxstone is still in jail. Troy Ave is out on bail. Nori had Troy Ave on his podcast, Drink Champs, which is doing very well. They're signed to Revolt.
Extremely well.
They're signed to
They
Revolt.
got a Revolt title deal, actually.
Yes. Because actually, I heard the Troy Ave interview off title. Huge platform. And Nori, I think what got people's attention was Nori, when interviewing Troy Ave, said, I want to get your side of the story. And that the implication there was that Taxstone wasn't telling the whole truth. Right? Taxstone podcast is still active. It's being carried on by one of Taxstone affiliates. Star Brim was on as a guest because it happened on the Taxstone podcast. At least that's where I found it. Taxstone IG, Taxstone YouTube, that's where I saw the clip. And they were going off on Nori. Star Brim said some stuff, inviting Nori to body parts that I don't know that Star Brim has. But that's neither here nor there.
She definitely said SMD.
She said SMD. I don't know if she has a D. She got me going. I don't know.
She
But
got me going.
So here's
Wait,
my.
what?
I thought maybe I went to the wrong biology class, man. I don't know. But she was like SMD, and she went into some other particulars that I don't want to get into because it was pretty nasty.
It was just gross. It
So-
was weird, actually.
So here's my question. I know who I'm going with. Spoiler alert, QU, sick you. We supposed to. But anyway, Nori transitioning. Nori transitioning from rapper to media mogul, not mogul, media, just media. Does he have to pick sides here? Does he have to not have guests on because of his street allegiances or whatever?
No.
Talk
No.
about it.
If you're, I mean, that's journalism. You need to get both sides. I don't understand what the problem is or why Star Brim is so upset. I mean, it's not like it's like this is not a gang or anything like that. This is at the core of it. This is hip hop journalism. NORE, like, we know one side. He wants to get the other side. Yo, what happened? So we get both sides of it, pick out the important details, and then we choose, like, as the viewer or as the listener, the follower, whatever, and we choose what we're going to believe. I don't understand what the problem is. Personally, that's just me. Like, it's not that serious.
Listen, man, honestly, I didn't even want to stay on this long. Long story short, bro, I don't think NORE was wrong. Like you said, he has a job, had a job to do, and like you said, it's journalism. There's always three sides to the story. You know what I'm saying? There's one side, and there's the truth. Like, straight out. There's just that. You want to criticize him for bringing somebody on his show, bring somebody on his platform. If we're going to be honest, like, not to say that NORE doesn't have any creative control over his show, but NORE has basically pimped out Drink Champs to Revolt and to Tidal. And so he may not even have control over bringing them over. Troy Ave may be connected with somebody that knows somebody. They probably said, hey, can you bring me on Drink Champs? Yeah. And I'm pretty sure NORE had to give the okay. Yeah. But I'm still, it was a little nudge over there. But yeah, long story short, I don't think he's wrong. He has a job to do. At the end of the day, I have a job to do. Yeah. I'm no longer the rapper street man no longer the rapper street man. Let me just keep it there. Shout out to Hot 97. If y'all know, y'all know. He's no longer the rapper street man, and so with that being said, I currently have a job to do as media man, and as media man, I gotta get the angles that I gotta get. Truth be told, he said Tax is my man. He said it in the podcast. He did, and he didn't even stay stuck on that point. They move on from it. Right. Long story short, so I'll leave that there.
Hold up. I wanna save.
You wanna close it out?
I wanna save people's lives here.
Go ahead.
I wanna be able to give some words of encouragement so that everyone could go home safe. All right? Can I do that?
By all means.
All right. Leave NORE alone, dog.
Super fact. Oh, by the way, rest in peace, DC Twin. Rest in peace, DC Twin.
Rest in peace, DC Twin.
Rest in peace.
That's a fact. NORE, let sleeping dogs lie, man. Shout out to Star Brim and all them people.
Shout out to Left Rack.
Shout out to the left. Leave NORE alone, fam. Leave that man alone.
Yeah, you see homeboy jogging mad as heck? Yo.
He was letting off steam.
Yo.
He had to let off steam.
No. He was in Cali jogging. He was like, motherfuckers think I'm lame. Or we'll see who's tough. He's like, matter of fact, that's why I told to get your mans. I don't even want to fight. I don't fight chicks. Get your man. Yo, he's jogging. And then the funniest part is after he ran, he shows his Nike Fit app. And it's like, you ran 4.4 miles. I was like, yo, only NORE, bro. But facts, leave him alone, man.
NORE's a shooter. He's a shooter.
Allegedly.
Nah.
Allegedly.
No.
Yo, we're not Prodigy, bro.
Family. NORE's on record going, and this is document, public record, because you can look it up. The day he got signed, he shot somebody. He literally went back to Left Rack to celebrate. Somebody got crazy. He shot somebody in the leg.
I don't know none.
We did. NORE said this.
I'm not gonna lie to you. Like on the old Drink Champs, he did say stuff like that. I ain't gonna hold you.
He said, "Y'all got shooters."
Okay.
I was the shooter. That's what he said.
Those were his words.
Fam, Jim Jones has a story about him being in the tunnel. We was just watching this, correct?
Tell him about the tunnel days.
He was in the tunnel. Shout out to if y'all, me saying the tunnel, y'all know what the tunnel is about. Jim Jones and Cameron.
Shout out to everybody born before 1980.
I feel slightly offended, but that's cool. Jim Jones, they pulled out on Jim Jones and Cameron, and 100 militainment guys with football jerseys was there, and they saved Jim Jones' life. This is on record. It's on video.
Yeah.
And last but not least, Fat Joe just did an interview saying he gets way more offended and hot when people come at his friends than they do at him. And we all know Fat Joe's the king of New York. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
What?
I'm just saying Fat Joe runs New York. I'm not being biased. Like, I'm
Yo,
just.
can you stop this?
I'm just saying
Can you
facts.
stop this?
Yo.
This is a fact.
Yo.
Deeper Than Rap podcast. Fat Joe runs New York. Terrence Scott runs New York. No one else does. I don't know.
I swear, man, Ricans must pray to Fat Joe or something.
Yo,
bro. I
at the
don't know what's
altar,
happening.
boy.
Hey, I have a picture of Fat Joe on my refrigerator. But what I'm saying
Who's judging?
is,
Who's judging?
what I'm saying is, all right. So let's close out. Leave Nori alone, please. Go.
Facts. Definitely leave him alone.
What's the next topic?
Wow.
Nah, that's payback for yelling. That's just
Wow.
payback for
What's the
yelling.
next
Wow,
topic?
what a smooth transition, Pastor Josh.
What is the next topic? Just curious.
Well, since you already jumped the gun, you might as well go. Go 2 for 2, bro.
Oh, I'd love to. Fat Joe was on Hot 97, and he had some things to say about the hip hop culture and just music in general.
Now, before we go into this,
Go ahead.
I know we joke a lot. I know we play a lot.
Yes.
I promise y'all we're going to use our platform, the small platform we have anyways, responsibly. And let's just, we might throw a joke here and there, but we're going to try our best to handle this with as much care as possible. Go ahead, continue.
They gonna do it responsibly.
Yeah, we will try. It is a super deep conversation. We're not gonna cover all aspects of it, but it is super important. So Fat Joe was correctly just saying a lot of the music that we celebrate or participate in as minorities finds its origin in African music and African culture. Motherland Africa, not African American, like motherland Africa. And he rightly said a lot of Spanish music, a lot of Caribbean islands, Spanish countries find their origins in music that come from the motherland of Africa.
Which is true.
Which is true. So we were just joking about how everything he said in that clip was great until he got to the last part, right? Where he said something like, I'm quoting him loosely, paraphrasing, I could be slightly off, but the gist of it was, sometimes Spanish people take more pride in black music than black people do.
Or something like that. He said
Something like that.
African heritage more than black people do. Something like that.
And then at that point, I was like, I took my TS chain off. I was like, damn, I don't know, blood.
Put on the Rock La
I
Familia one.
put on the rock. Here we go. All right.
Chill.
But overall, what do you think?
All right, Jay, I'm gonna let you go because you're the only black person here. No, I'm serious. I don't have much to say. Like, please
Fam
give
just
me,
called me a token, y'all. This
Wow.
guy's out of pocket, dog.
No, but in all honesty,
Please,
Token
save me.
black guy.
No, he's not.
Oh,
Listen,
my
Jordan's
God.
Jordan's not.
Oh my God! Never in my life will I ever. I gotta leave this house. I'm out, man. I'm done.
No, but I can't give you a perspective. Like you as a black person can give me a certain perspective. I'm Latino as well. That like I can give you the Fat Joe perspective.
All right. So, what Josh didn't say was it was a disconnect between blacks in America and the slaves in America and the slaves in the Caribbean and in South America. And that point, I do agree because it's just the slaves in South America, they did revolt, right?
Yes.
They fought for their freedom.
No,
They-
actually, I think the Haitians were the only. The Haitians were the only ones actually.
The only ones.
I think they were the first ones. Yeah, I think they were the first ones to rebel. I think eventually, people like kind of. Pardon me, I'm not the biggest history buff. I know a little bit, not a lot. But I think Haiti was the first country to do it. I'm not sure. I don't think DR did it, honestly. I think it just eventually with the times they moved forward. But I don't think they rebelled against it. But continue anyways.
So here in America,
We're not here for history facts.
but here in America, the blacks in America, I do feel that it's a disconnect from where we originate from. It's like it's sort of like a beef, between the African Americans and the Africans. Like the Africans will come over and they feel that, we're lazy and we don't work for anything. But I don't think they quite understand the roadblocks that are put in front.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be that guy that was like, like the white guy trying to bring us down. But there's certain roadblocks that were put in front of us from the time of slavery to freedom, segregation, all these things. It's just roadblocks that we have to jump over. So in that sense, I do agree that we don't follow, like a lot of African customs, a lot of African music or everything. Like we had to like all music stems from it, but like
Facts.
we had to create our own thing. Like every step we took, we had to create something of our own. And like that's where it comes with the music and the gospel, the music and rock and country and R&B, and then like you move on to house music and funk music, and now hip hop. It's like everything that we do, we have to just create something out of. I don't want to say create something out of nothing, but create something out of something small, and then bring it to what we
Build it
have
up.
today. So it is a disconnect. Like we're not like a lot of us. It's like Josh said, a lot of the Caribbean music and the South American music, everything is still there. Like the foundation is still there.
Yeah.
That foundation is not here for us.
So I don't know much about slavery in the Latino countries, but you are correct in saying when you talk about the history of slaves in the United States of America, and when we talk about them being disconnected from motherland Africa, from the minute they touched down, didn't they try to convert them to Christians or Christianity? Am I bugging?
They convert them to Christians. They strip their names. All that
Strip,
stuff.
right. You stripped their name. You stripped them of African names. You did all this. You separated families.
Yeah.
Like how do you expect an African slave child to know their history when you separated them from their African slave mother or father or anything like that? How do you continue that legacy? And not to mention that when slavery was abolished, you destroyed all their records.
Yeah.
So most people can't even tie back to where they're back. That 23andMe, is that what's this called? The DNA stuff?
Yeah.
All that foolishness. They can't tell you nothing.
That's just a ploy for Google to get your info. Don't do it. I'm trying to tell people, don't do it.
Yo, what if Google give us an ad, bro?
Huh?
Never mind. But
Shout out to Google.
Right after that.
facts. But in all seriousness, they've been stripped of so much of their own history and their own past that I think Fat Joe kind of just ignored that. Like, and maybe not ignored, maybe he got caught and wrapped up in the moment and just what he saw. But like, yes, like I understand the criticism because of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like you have to understand why it's like that, because yes, if you go to Dominican Republic, while there is a little bit of fight, and I'm sorry to make this a history lesson, but there's a bit of a fight between Dominicans that were conquered by Spain and Dominicans that were conquered by the English, because the English brought in slaves or whatever. So they were slaves, and some folks stayed true to their slave masters, and some cared to be black. Like some wanted to represent their blackness. So that's why you have that little bit of ruffle in DR. But if you go to DR, you go to Puerto Rico, you go to Cuba. Cuba is like probably the Latino country that's probably most connected to Africa, because like salsa came from Cuba and that came from Africa. Like the whole drums and all that came from Africa. There's parts of Colombia. I happen to be half Colombian as well. There's parts of Colombia closer to the coast that had slaves. They had African slaves, and so there's a famous Colombian salsa song called La Rebelión by Joe Arroyo. You
Well, that's
heard
my
it.
dude?
Yeah, it is.
That's my guy, okay.
But that song speaks to African slaves and slavery in Colombia.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And those things were present. So I understand where Joe was coming from, trying to say about his black history amongst Latinos. But like you said, he kind of stepped out of line when he said like, yeah, some black people more African connect. Like, I feel you, and I guess you had good intentions behind it.
Yeah.
But you were a little bit off.
Yeah. I think I would give him, he's more in touch or in tune with with his own origins than most people. But
Absolutely.
I just wouldn't give him, I wouldn't say I wouldn't make that broad statement to say
Absolutely.
Latinos are more in touch with African culture than black people. I wouldn't go that far.
What time are we at right now?
We are 46.
Cool. We got a couple more minutes.
But I kind of like.
Go.
I want to keep going on this a little bit. But
Yeah,
I kind of like what Fat Joe said because a lot of Spanish people, I don't think that they realize that, you know, like me, you, and you, like we all, I don't want to say we, like at the core of it, we all come from the same place,
Yeah.
right? So it's just like your family just stayed in South America, mine so happened to move here in America. It's the, and I think he was probably trying to get more Latinos to understand
that you're black.
yeah, yo, like
Yeah.
you're black, and
Yeah.
at like a lot of them, like I don't want to speak on like experience I don't really know about because I don't like because
Say what you're gonna
you
say.
realize
Say
it
what
because
you
like
wanna say,
you
I'll tell you
realize
yes or
it,
no.
but like a lot of
If you mess
Latinos,
up, we'll edit it. You know what I'm saying? Nah, but
a
go ahead,
lot
talk
of
about it. Talk about
a
it.
lot of Latinos they don't feel as if they're black or they're
Absolutely
different
right.
from being black.
Absolutely
And you've
right.
told me before, like in Puerto Rico, it's like, yo, like it's the darker skinned people are treated
Worse.
fucked up
Yeah?
than you know the fair skinned people.
Fact.
So even with their own, it's the same thing. So that they just feel they're better than. So I think Fat Joe was just saying like, yo, listen, you're no better than so and so because we all originate from the same place.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And even and I think that comes even more so like when you talk about the area that he grew up in, which is the Bronx, it's a melting pot. But even in that melting pot, you have people like there's a funny joke from a comedian that passed years ago when he talks about like he goes into the corner store and he's talking to Poppy and then he's like Poppy tried to disrespect him and call him black and he's like, yo Poppy, you black too? He's like, yeah, but I'm black like this and you black like that.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? It's like that, but that's real.
Nah,
That's
a
absolutely
fact.
real. Like, fam, I have uncles on my Dominican side of the family that are dark, and then they have the audacity to crack jokes on African Americans.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how dare you? Like, are you serious? You had a like, look at you.
But why do you think that is?
Well, in DR, I can tell you it's because you had your Spanish, you had your people that decided to follow slave master who was from Spain, and then those people were just they just neglected anything that was black. Like black was made to be ugly.
Yeah, I think culturally we've been conditioned to think that black is not beautiful.
Yes, absolutely.
And so the further we get away from black, the more beautiful we are. I'm saying this is what culture tells
Society
us.
Society
Yes,
tells us that.
Correct. And so
All throughout the
All
world.
my dark skinned ladies, what's
yeah.
up, y'all?
And so I
I'm
think
looking at you.
for me, that's where I had a problem with the Fat Joe statement. Though I understand what he meant.
Right.
Because Fat Joe has spoken extensively about this topic.
Yeah, he didn't have any ill intentions. Let's take that away.
Not because he's spoken about this before, and so I know what he's saying. So it's sad that people, because if you get in the comment section of that Fat Joe clip, people are going crazy, and I'm just like, I'm against anything, to be clear, that elevates one race over another.
Absolutely.
Black is beautiful, 1,000%. So is every other race.
Absolutely.
Every race brings like this different thing, right? To humanity that we should celebrate. Not look at as different, but like be like, oh, that's dope. Let's bring that into, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's bring that into the mix to make this bigger thing more beautiful.
Absolutely.
So I'm for that. But going back to what you were saying, that made me jump off on that thought that we've been conditioned to look at black people or any kind of minority lesser than. You know what I'm saying? I grew up in Far Rockaway, Queens. I was like one of like 5 Spanish people, and 2 of them were my parents. I've experienced the first instances of racism, and I would argue more racism at the hands of black people than I have from white people. That's not something that was it wasn't inherently in black people. That's something that was taught to us.
Of course.
If it's not, it's almost like if you're not white, then you have the right to like make fun of or
each other.
poke fun at. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
So from the outside looking in, black people are niggers. And from the outside looking in, all Spanish people are immigrant Mexicans.
Right.
As silly as that sounds, that's a fact. Like that people talk to us like that.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. So, a couple years ago, Mark Anthony, who's couldn't be more Puerto Rican, he sang the national anthem at a baseball game, and Twitter erupted with, "What is a Mexican doing singing the national anthem?" And I was like,
No way.
"What?" Twitter I mean, this was all over the news. Like, how could you think Mark Anthony is Mexican?
Right.
But this is what I'm saying. Like, from the outside looking in, we're all blacks and Mexicans. You know what I'm saying? And so what I think happens is we turn that on each other. We adopt that mindset. You guys are just minorities, and we attack each other.
It's that
in
Willie
way.
Lynch theory,
The
dog.
Willie Lynch theory. So, because of that, I'm not in favor of Spanish being better than, or
You
black
know,
being better than.
I don't think that
But
was
that's
the
where I
intention
think
behind that
Fat Joe's
statement.
statement got taken out of context. It's like when because everyone was on board. Yes, I mean, because that's such a no-brainer. All of this music came from Africa. You can't. I mean, there's no logical. You can't argue against that. There's no argument against that. But then when he goes at the end, more Spanish people are into it, and I was just like,
That was crazy. That was crazy.
that sounded wild.
That's crazy.
But what I'm saying, I guess my point is, it sounded in line with what I grew up hearing. Spanish people being racist against black people, and black people taking shots at Spanish people because we're all Mexican. I grew up being called Goya bean and wetback. Wetback means you swam to the States. And I'm just like, dog, I was born in Queens. You know what I'm saying? But that internal kind of strife was given to us, and we do it to each other. You know what I'm saying? So
Absolutely. Well, once again, that's history. That's flat out history. If you don't know what the Willie Lynch theory is, Google it, fam. That's honestly what it boils down to. It's still that institutionalized behavior. Like when you speak on that. But Jay, you have any final words you want to close out on this? I think. Like we could go on for days on this topic, but I think I'm gonna let it go for now.
I think Josh made a good point about how we turn it on each other. Especially like just I don't even use like black and Spanish, just black on black people. You know, it's just like certain stigmas we're supposed to follow. Like if say someone, you know, they speak correctly or something, like they associate it with speaking white.
Yeah,
It's just like,
absolutely.
it's like, my man,
Yeah.
it's like you should aspire to speak that way. Like,
Speak
that's-
properly.
Yeah,
it's
speak.
not speaking white. It's just
speaking properly.
It's
proper.
speaking. It's talking. It's English. And I wish I can talk that way, but I can't. But it's just that like it's certain things like that. We just turn the scope on each other, and then like it's I think we lose sight of the bigger picture of what's keeping us down and how we can, you know,
It's the white man, y'all.
and like how we can, you know, improve our standing in society.
Yeah.
I think just like, and it can be anywhere. We just need like more of like a revolution and just coming with each other, you know, coming together and
And holding each other accountable for stuff.
yeah, and it's like some famous people, right? They you know, they make it, they got it made. Okay, fine, good for you. But then like after a while, they turn. It's like, well, why can't you do it? I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah.
It's like, all right, like you gotta. If you made it, you have to come back and give some sort of. I don't want
Direction.
Yeah, like some sort of direction. I don't want to say they're obligated to because no, I don't feel that way. Like if someone makes it, they're not obligated to go back to their
So show
hometown
your
and be
people
like,
the way, man.
yeah, like they're not. Yeah, but
Lead them to the lake. You ain't gotta feed them.
yeah,
Lead them to the lake.
show them certain things that they're supposed to do, how they're supposed to move, and they be like, okay, well, like I can do that, or give like if like Robert Smith, he's a billionaire. He paid for the student tuitions for the graduating class
Yeah.
of I want to say Morehouse, and he paid for their tuition. So they start with a clean slate. They
No
start
debt.
they start
No
at
debt.
zero, like a lot of people start at.
Or
They
at
start
least
at
no
zero.
school debt.
And then he went and just recently he paid the debt of the parents of the
I
class.
saw that.
Oh, he double back? I
Yeah,
didn't know
so
that. I didn't know
it's
that.
Yeah.
it's certain things like that, but people look at him and like, oh, he has a white wife. Like
You're
like
looking at the
my-
wrong things,
like
bro.
dogs. Like he just put 1,000 people at zero, and they could go and make something and give back to your kid, to the one you're getting mad at because he married a white woman. Like,
That's crazy.
come on, it's certain things like that where it's just like you're holding yourself back because someone
Very quick
marries.
to cannibalize each other.
Yeah.
We're very quick to cannibalize each other. Absolutely.
When someone does something good, like they always look for an ill intention behind it.
Yeah. Or for something to like shoot at homeboy for like you said, clear the debt. Oh, but his wife is white. That's what it is. When he get on, he leave your ass for a white girl. They always want to do that one. Like, y'all, Kanye told us. Like, come on, fam. Like, let's get over certain things like that are minute. Speaking of Fat Joe, right? Speaking of Fat Joe,
I could talk about Fat Joe for like.
well, listen, we're not going to talk about Fat Joe
Okay,
for the rest of the
my fault,
podcast.
my fault,
However,
my fault.
he did have Fat Joe had a podcast for a little bit on Tidal. I don't know if he still has it.
He does not.
He had an interview one time with Tekashi.
Ow.
We spoke about Tekashi in long form last week. We ain't going to do it again. However, our Tekashi trial analyst, Mr. Pastor Josh,
Prayway.
a.k.a. Prayway.
Prayway. I like that.
There you go.
Pray away.
I like that.
A.k.a.
Pray
Prayway.
away.
He made some new revelations.
Oh man.
He made some new revelations in the Tekashi trial case, and so he wanted to share that. He wanted to share that with us. And come on, man, let's go.
I wanted to share because, by the way, it is Prayway. That's a fact. The argument I made the last podcast was, I believe we were, or the culture's paying way too much attention to Tekashi snitching and not to the rest of the dudes that were involved in the case, right? And so this past week, since we released the podcast, right, which a lot of people had opinions on, the whole Tekashi joint, some new audio was released, right, where Mel Murder, the godfather of Nine Trey, and a dude by the name of CEO Chris,
Okay.
they're on a wiretap conversation, and they're talking smack about Shoddy. They went as far as calling him a roach, and that he didn't know how to manage Tekashi and all this, that, and the third, right? CEO Chris is apparently high up on the hierarchy of Nine Trey. And he was saying things like the only person that he even respected in Nine Trey as far as the higher-ups was Harv, who Tekashi snitched on, and Harv's co-defendant, I believe nicknamed Nuke or something like that. So he was saying, those are the only two guys I really respect. Everybody else, blah, blah, blah. And Shoddy's a roach. And Mel Matrix kind of made a roach comment about Shoddy and whatever. From all accounts, I tried to do some digging and some research. CEO Chris he's a gangster. He's one of the. This is what my research told me.
You tapped into your old connects.
I called some people up. That's all I'm gonna say. I can't go further than that.
Got you.
He's a gangster, which is surprising because CEO Chris took the stand against Harv, against Harv's co-defendant, and against Shoddy.
Oh, I ain't getting into this.
And he snitched. No, this is public record. I don't want no problem. I'm just saying.
He's just closing this out with this. We're not. It's not a discourse.
That's cool. What I'm saying is, here we have an instance where why are we not talking about everybody else? Why are we just talking about 6ix9ine, right? Remember we talked about in the last podcast how snitching gets weaponized. Remember we talked about that?
Yeah.
No one's talking about CEO Chris, who took He took the stand. I didn't even know about it. He took, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong. I doubt it. He took the stand before 6ix9ine took the stand. But no one's making memes about this guy. No one's going crazy about it. You can make the argument Tekashi was a more polarizing figure and was the celebrity. I get that. But CEO Chris was a gangster by all accounts. And he's on wiretap. And that audio has been released. It was on Vlad. It's been on numerous gossip.
Another snitch.
It was Vlad. Yeah.
They going wild today, boy.
I'm not going to lie, Vlad. Anyway. But
It's Deep in the Rap podcast. Holla at me.
I just think
Somebody got to take us over the top. We need the ads, y'all.
I just think how it's crazy how 6ix9ine is becoming like the snitching figure and everyone's going over the top. But the culture is not going, we're going to cap snitches all across the board. We're only going to single out this one kid who clearly wasn't a gangster and was brought on as the money man. But we're not going to talk about everybody else who was doing him wrong or who's actively taking the stand. You know what's crazy? Ironically, the one who's taking the most heat, Shotty, is the one who's not snitching. That's what, like, this whole thing is a mess, bro. Like, it's so all over the place.
Long story short, leave the streets alone, man.
You
That's
know
a
who
fact.
else? You know who else snitched though?
Who?
Omar Little from The Wire, dog. He was on the stand like, yo, it was him.
Yeah, he
It
singled
was
out
him.
Bird. He did.
And ain't nobody do nothing because they ain't no
glorify
problems with
him.
that shotgun. They ain't no problems with the shotgun.
That's it.
And you know what's he's being funny, but he's right. People are so selective with who they choose to like
Absolutely.
call names and like give the
Absolutely.
Tekashi 6ix9ine snitch, and the conversation is, will he be able to make music? Can he come back to Brooklyn? Alpo's home, fam.
In Harlem.
In Harlem. Holla back. It's Prayway. Go ahead.
I don't want no parts of this, man.
It's
They
facts.
can keep this.
It's facts. It's super facts. It's Deeper Than Rap podcast. We have
Yeah, it
another
is.
episode under the belt.
Yes, we do.
We had some more topics to touch, but we'll probably do it next week. Guys, thank you for the love. Thank you for the support. Keep
Shout out to
watching
Fat
us.
Joe.
I'm not shouting out Fat
Shout
Joe
out
yet.
Squad in the building.
But shout out Fat Joe.
Leave Nori alone.
Facts, leave Nori
Leave
alone.
Nori alone.
Super leave Nori alone. Guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for following us. By all means, please like, share, subscribe. Subscribe to the YouTube channel.
Do that.
I only have 3 subscribers.
I got
we
4.
only have 3 subscribers.
I got 4, y'all.
Where?
On YouTube.
Oh, no, I'm saying like the Deeper Than Rap YouTube.
Oh, not my personal, dog.
Yeah, no, my personal, I got like 14. I'm popping.
You popping?
I'm hot.
Where my trolling gets be good, dog.
But yeah, nah, by all means, please follow us, subscribe to us, follow the Deeper Than Rap podcast IG. Yeah, man, you guys' support it means the world to us, and it's gonna lead to hopefully one day us being able to finance this via ads or via whatever way we end up getting some loot off of this, because this ain't cheap, it ain't free either. So
Please get an ad.
now for real, we really do need that ad though.
Please.
With that being said, once again, it's Deeper Than Rap podcast. Share any of your favorite clips. Share them on IG. Share them wherever you on your socials. Speaking of socials, you can follow me on IG at BigKev92. That's BIGKEV 92. Pastor Josh, what's your social handle?
At Josh_Olivero.
Jordan.
Listen, I ain't putting out no socials, no nothing, all right? After the last episode, everybody want to look at me like I'm some sort of snitch or whatnot. Everybody needs to relax, dog. Everybody needs to relax. That's why I stay home, because people want to look at me because I told the truth. Everybody want to look at me crazy because I told the truth. Everybody want to look at me crazy. Nah. That's why I stay home. I go to work. I come here. I stay home because people get crazy. I don't want parts of nothing. I don't want nothing. Unless it's alcohol there.
Did anybody follow you on IG afterwards?
I got one.
You got one?
I got one.
That must be another snitch
I
too.
got one. We riding
It's Deeper Than
together.
Rap, yo. We out of here.